Shalom, family. I just realized somehow I had muted myself and I left the recording on. Anyway, all you can do is laugh. So this is part two, where we are looking at, is Yahusha, does he come from melanated people or does he come from ghost people? In the Swahili language, they would say Zeru Zeru. Okay. So let's get back to that article. Okay. And if you're new, I do say some Hebrew terms. Yahusha is the Son of God, or the Son of Yah, or the Son of Yahuwah. He is the Messiah, the Anointed One. Okay, so let's continue with the article. Did I get to the article? Let me see here. Yes, I did. So we ended with this part when it says that a linking of patriotism with Christianity that mm, mm, mm. I'm always clicking on something. With Christianity that reinforces a white image of Yahushua that is central to Christian nationalism. Okay. So here you will see a photo that shows an attendant walk past a poster of Yahushua wearing a Make American Great Again hat at a campaign rally for then President Donald Trump at Avoca, Pennsylvania on November 2nd in the year of 2020 AD. Al Drago / Bloomberg / Getty Images. And this is provided by the CNN. Take this time to pause your screen because this shows that this image right here, oh, if I remember on top of my head, maybe I'm moving a little bit too fast. I am. Okay. So take this time to pause your screen because this is the image that's still being pushed, but it's still not biblically correct. Just like in the beginning of the video, I showed you the image of a Messiah that is melanated and a Messiah that is not melanated, but both of those images are not correct. Okay. For example, one, even though he was melanated, according to the prophets, Isaiah in chapter 53, he was not handsome in his appearance. So from looking at those other books and those studies, yeah, you will see it still don't match up correctly. Okay. Second, there's a new debate about the identity of the historical Yahusha. Some critics of the Israel-Hamas war are declaring that Yahusha was a Palestinian Jew, an assertion that at least one biblical scholar says is false and reprises an ugly historical pattern of using Yahusha against Jews once again. Again, when you read the biblical word, and even today, a lot of Jewish do not receive the Messiah. So, and so forth. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. Not everyone wants a part of this debate. Some Christians roll their eyes whenever they encounter a question about Yahushua's appearance. They say that Easter story has nothing to do with color and Yahushua's message. They say the Passover story has nothing to do with color and Yahushua's message. There cite scriptures like Galatians chapter 3, verse 28 and 29, which says there is not a Jew nor Gentile, not a slave nor free, nor is there male and female, for you all are one in Messiah Yahushua. Okay, so this is a verse that we see some people go to, but again, as I share with y'all throughout the video, this is about truth versus a lie. And if we are a believer and we want to be received into the kingdom of heaven, we cannot spread lies. We have to give the truth. Okay. There are also those who religiously is neutral and wonder why people have to bring race into everything. As one exasperated commentator said, and I quote, I am so sick and tired of people making an issue out of what color Yahusha was, or what color were the 12 tribes of Israel, or if God is black or white. For me, I don't care what color any of them were or are. There is no verses in the Bible that I know of that make an issue out of skin color of people in the Bible. Now, what this person says, as far as where I see no verses in the Bible, they were just saying about make an issue. They are correct on that. And this is what I've been talking about. We have a nation, we have a tribe. We don't identify ourselves by color. However, again, this is about truth because when we, not all Europeans, but I'm talking about the nation when they was colonizing or conquering countries or continent throughout the world, they have pushed this image upon us, and their image does not align with the word of the Most High. Okay? What's missing in many of these debates over Yahushua's skin color is a more nuanced perspective from thoughtful people on both sides. Here's what they say. While some say Yahushua color doesn't matter, Warner Salmon may be what the New York Times called the best known artist of the 20th century, but he's not considered one of the masters of his craft. His status rests on one remarkable painting, The Head of Messiah, quote and unquote. It has been reproduced an estimate 500 million times in portraits that have adorned living rooms, Sunday schools, stamps, and prayer cards. Salmon said the painting was divinely inspired. He was commercial illustrator who was struggling to sketch a portrait of Yahushua for an evangelical magazine one late winter night in 1924. Dejected, he went to bed with no sketch, but said he was awakened at 2 in the morning. Suddenly there appeared to my mind, a picture of the Messiah just as it were on my drawing board, he said. Salmon charcoal sketch, which he later adapted into an oil painting of a light-haired, blue-eyed Yahusha with Nordic features. Salmon was the son of a Scandinavian immigrants. And see, that's what I'm talking about. It's nice to know who is your tribe, who's your nation, where you come from. Let me go on. Is a prime example what critics call the white Yahusha. And I'm going to interject in this. It's good to know where you come from because it helps you to understand why you do what you do. Where did you get it from? It's just like children who are adopted or who are orphans. We all want to know, where did we come from? So I agree with the Bible. We should be identified by our tribes and nations. Let us keep going. It was released in the mid 20th century America during an era of fervent patriotism, record church attendance, and hysteria over the perceived threat posed by the Communist Party. Thousands of wallet-sized copies were distributed to American soldiers during World War II. It was so iconic that to combat card carrying members of the Communist Party, one American minister wanted every Christian to carry a small print of Salmon's Messiah in their wallets, wrote Edward J. Bloom, co author of The Color of Messiah. That version of America has since changed, but there are some who say Yahushua color should stay the same or that it doesn't matter at all. Looking at this photo, a survivor holds the Warner Salmon image of Yahushua Messiah during services on February 12th in the year of 2010 in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, after an earthquake devastated the country. Photo was done by Maria Talmer / Getty Images, provided by CNN. So as you see today, This image is still going on, even though it does not line up to what the word of the Most High say. Okay, let us keep going. Christina L. Barr is a minister and author who has worked in Republican Party politics. She says the Passover message is bigger than any individual color. All people are sinners, and Yahusha died for them all, regardless of their skin hue, she says. And she's correct. The most important message is to receive salvation and to work out your salvation and to know that the kingdom of heaven is coming. But again, we cannot ignore this lie that has been pushed throughout the four corners of the earth. We have to acknowledge the truth. Like I said before in the beginning of the video, the Hebrew language which confirmed to you that the Messiah is melanated, for he is the second Adam. Okay? Even the first Adam was melanated. The Hebrew language will confirm this. Second Torah will confirm this. The prophets will confirm this. The gospel will confirm this. Okay? Even the apostles' writings will confirm this, and Revelation will confirm this. Let us keep going. Heaven isn't exclusive for the rich or for the fair skin. Barr tells CNN God's arms are outstretched to all. And that's true. Whether you have no melanin, some melanin, the perfect right amount of melanin, or too much melanin, we are of Adam. Those who have the breath of Yah in them, that makes them a living soul. We have his spirit, and we have a body that's made from the earth. That would make us the sons and daughters of God. Okay? Barr says that some people who say they want a black or brown, I wish they would say melanated, Yahusha may want his melanin, but don't really want his message. In a column for Black Tea News, the online site where she is the CEO, she imagined if Yahusha returned to contemporary America as a melanated man. There would be initial excitement among some people until Yahusha started preaching about giving up sexual immorality and greed, she said. And she's right. Let us keep going to read. By the time he offends abortion providers by saying, Yah hates hands that shed innocent blood and rebuke Americans for our covetousness, he'll be called a bigot, coon, and thoroughly counseled, she wrote. And that's true. Okay. Others take a more physiological, I'm sorry, philosophical approach to the color of Messiah, color of Yahusha. Whether Yahusha is depicted in contemporary artwork and icons as white, black, brown, Hispanic, or Middle Eastern, it shouldn't matter because Yahusha's physicality was merely a vessel which was used to carry something a lot more important, the spirit of his father, Yah. Antony Pinault wrote in a column entitled Why Yahusha's Skin Color Doesn't Matter. Partly true, but not entirely true, my brothers and sisters. Again, we cannot spread lies. The Bible have to back up or whatever artwork you are doing on him. Personally, for me, I have no picture of him because based on the commandments of Yah, which is on the foundation of love, to love him with everything we got and to love thy neighbor as thyself, I won't have no image of that. Mm-mm. You do not want to idolize, my brothers and sisters. Remember, our Father is jealous and his name is jealous. Okay? The Bible give us a detailed description of our Father in heaven and of his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. So these present day images that we are seeing does not align with the Bible and also with the other books that quotes from the work of Josephus. When you go to the playlist dealing with White and Ruddy, and that's going to be in the video description box, the last video is dealing with a lady who reads a quote that comes from the work of Josephus. You will find out from your studies that the heathen removed the description that Josephus had about the Messiah. You will learn through the prophets, such as Prophet Isaiah, and through the work of Josephus, those who quote from them, okay, that the Messiah was not handsome in his appearance. So when you was drawn to him, those who was drawn to him was not drawn to him based off his looks, for he was not attractive at all. They was drawn to him because he is the living word and he spoke truth. Okay. Now let us keep reading. When reached by CNN, Pinot says he is sympathetic to those who say that a darker Yahusha is more relatable. He concedes that there are barriers to worshiping a white Yahusha that he, a white man, may not understand. Okay. Even I have to say this because the word is reminding me. Yahusha would say, do not worship me, but worship my Father in heaven. Matthew chapter 4 and Luke chapter 4. But at least I can give Mr. Pennell his respect because he's being truthful and honest. He's being honest. He does not know what it's like to walk in our shoes. Okay. Let's continue to read. Still, when people become too focused on Yahusha's physical characteristics, they make it more difficult to develop a deeper relationship with Yahuwah, he says. To him, the color of Yahusha doesn't make a difference. So he's speaking honestly. But remember, speak honestly and speak truthful. Okay? Because when you see him and you see that it aligns with the scriptures and you see that he is melanated, then your true heart is going to show. So mean what you say, brothers and sisters. Okay? Let us go on to read. It does not fundamentally change what he stands for and the sort of message that's central to Christianity and what Yahusha stands for in his life and actions. Pino says he could be any color that would not change his message. And that's true. His message will still remain the same. But we got to be honest. The Bible said he comes from the tribe of Judah, in the Hebrew term Yahudah. And he is of the nation of Israel, the Yashrael, the Israelites, the Jews. Okay? So we have to call it for what it really is. Let us go on to read. While others say it does matter. Some, however, argue that the color of Yahusha does matter for a variety of reasons. Members of various Christian ethnic groups have long since abandoned worshiping a white Yahusha. Yahusha has been portrayed as Korean, a black man with dreadlocks, as an indigenous Mary or Mari with a full face tattoo, and even as I hate to say this, y'all, black woman. So let me make this correct. According to the word of the Most High, we know he's not going to have a tattoo because that is against Torah. He fulfilled every law in Torah. He crossed every T and dot every I. We also know that the Messiah is a male. Okay? He also received the circumcision of the flesh on the 8th day. So, no, he would not be betrayed. in a, again, it has to line up with the scriptures. Okay? It is no longer uncommon to encounter a black or brown Yahusha on the stained glass windows in churches. Again, these things have to align with scriptures. This right here, these statues you see of him does not align with scriptures. Even though they are melanated, they don't align. Statues of a Black Yahusha are displayed in the African shop at the south of the border complex on July the 21st, 2006 in Dillon, South Carolina. Jeff Hutchinson says Getty Images provided by CNN. So even with these statues, again, that's dealing with idolatry, okay? If they only understand the spiritual things, all power comes from the spirit from within the belly, the heart, the center of your body. This is where the soul dwells. This is where the spirit is with the soul as united in a covenant, married, united. Either you're going to have the spirit of God in you or you're going to have Satan's spirit in you. First John chapter 3. Okay. So that is a no-no. Some black activists had led a movement to discard the white Yahusha. Black theologians, I hate when they do this, y'all. This is what I'm talking about. Why you can't call him a theologian? I don't see this being done to Europeans. You don't see them say a European theologian. You don't see them saying a white theologian. But why is there a distinction? Why is there is a crayon color mentioned, which probably don't even match the true pigmentation of their skin? This is why I say racism is more prevalent than ever before today. But let us go on. A melanated theologian like the Reverend Albert Cleage have depicted Yahusha as a man of color and a revolutionary. And during the George Floyd racial reckoning in 2020 AD, some activists called for statues depicting a white Yahusha to be torn down along with Confederate monuments. Some melanated theologians who say Yahusha was melanated aren't being literal. They're making a larger statement against how Yahusha has been traditionally portrayed as a white man at the top of the social hierarchy. The Reverend Dante Stewart reflect this thinking in an essay entitled "How I Learned That Yahusha is Melanated." You can say black, but I prefer to say melanated. I saw why they insist on saying Yahusha is black. Stewart, author of Shouting in the Fire, an American Epistle, referring to melanated theologians like James Cone and author Toni Morrison. And I read as quote, they were not talking about his skin color during his earthly ministry, though it definitely wasn't white, Stewart says. Do you hear that? Again, it's like y'all know Messiah was not white. Okay, everybody knows that. We're coming into the knowledge of that. He is melanated. Okay, Stewart says they was talking about his experience about how Yahusha knows what it means to live in an occupied territory, knows what it means to be from an oppressed people. So in their particular writings, they was not looking at color, but they was pointing out the Messiah experience is closely resembled to the oppressed experience. So their book was more focused on his experience on this earth versus what color he is. Okay. And I just keep reading. Some also say that Yahusha color matter because of history. Blum says the image of a white Yahusha has been used to justify slavery, lynching, laws against interracial marriage, and hostility towards immigrants deemed not white enough. When Congress passed a law in the early 20th century, so that's in the 1900s, to restrict immigration from Asia, Southern and Europe and Eastern Europe, white politician evoked the white Yahusha, he says. And I read as quote, one of the argument was, well, Yahusha was white, Blum says. So the thing was, we want America to be profoundly Christian or at least Yahusha based. So we should only allow white people in this country. Do y'all hear what Bloom is saying? And that's what we're talking about. This image that has been pushed upon the oppressed, the melanated people, it was used to how to get us to worship them. And it was also used for the Europeans to have justification on why they mistreated us. Okay? Why they mistreat melanated people. Okay, that's good. Let's go on to read. The MAGA movement uses the image of a white Yahusha to weaponize political battles. He says, pointing to signs at the January the 6th insurrection, displaying a white Yahusha, sometimes wearing a red MAGA hat to bloom. Some Christian conservatives see a white MAGA Yahusha as an anti-woke symbol. And they're right. It's bad. And I'm glad the Christian conservatives see that. Let me see. I don't want to make sure I'm reading this wrong. I just put it like this. That image with that hat on is just all bad. You ain't supposed to have none of that anyway. But it's sending a message. It's sending the wrong kind of message. Okay? Again, it's encouraging racism. And when you learn the truth about Adam, which is mankind, human, we are brothers and sisters. Whether you have no melon or less melon, okay, or the perfect right of melon or too much melon, we are still brothers and sisters. We all come from Adam and Eve. So love should be in our hearts, not hatred. And the love I'm talking about is the love of God. Read 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and Romans chapter 13 to understand what is love is. And our Father in heaven and Yahusha HaMashiach set the example of it. Okay? Another, let me continue to read. So forgive me if I misunderstood or misread that quote of an anti-woke symbol. But let us go on to read. Another reason that Yahusha's skin color matters is because a person can't really understand him or his message without taking into account his skin color and socioeconomic status, says Cleveland, the author and scholar. Cleveland echoes the sentiments of some scholars who say that Yahusha was a poor, oppressed minority, a man who won melanated theologian described as a non-white leader of a non-white people struggling for national liberation from Rome. Now, that quote right there, when they mention Rome, they're correct because we are still in the fourth beast kingdom, and Rome is the last empire that the Messiah is going to take down with the 144,000 Israelites and with the hosts of heaven. Okay? So what Cleveland is saying, they're not more focused on the skin color here, but they're looking at the experience of the Messiah. But they do agree with this, that he was non-white and his people, the Jews, were non-white as a nation, as a whole. Now, I am aware of the mixing, okay? But we're talking about as a nation of people, as a collective whole, the majority are not white, the Jews. All right, let us keep going. Here's a picture of a group known as the Jericho Marchers walked during a rally to protest the 2020 AD presidential elections results at the Pennsylvania state capitol in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania on January the 5th in the year of 2021 AD. Paul Weaver slash Semper did this photo, and it's provided by CNN. So here you see again an image of a white Yahusha. Okay, so many people believe in this image. In a column for Christianity Today, Cleveland wrote, as an ethnic minority, Yahusha just didn't simply care about people who were victims of Roman of Rome-sanctioned violence. He was a victim of Rome-sanctioned violence. Yahusha didn't simply care about refugees. Yahusha was a refugee. Yahusha didn't simply care about the poor. He was poor. Cleveland tells CNN that people who say Yahusha, people, I'm sorry, Cleveland tells CNN that people who say Yahusha color wasn't important ignore history. I agree him with 100%. Because when we look at other historical events, they want to make sure that the right melon, whether there's no melon, less melon, or perfect melon, or too much melon, is put to that person in history. Okay? I agree with him 100%. So this is about a historical fact. This is about truth. Okay? It limits our ability to understand the historical Yahusha, who wasn't a white man and didn't walk through the world as such. He was under Roman occupation, not unlike someone living in Gaza right now. We miss a lot of the historical Yahusha story and teachings because they was coming from that perspective. So he's telling us the damage of what that false image of the Messiah that has been pushed throughout the four corners of the world has done. And I agree with Cleveland on this. Okay. Now we're going to read the Bible holds its own mysteries about Yahusha's appearance. Cleveland discovered, though, how risky it can be to challenge the image of the white Yahusha. She says that after she wrote her column, she received so many death threats, she had to move the location of the college classes she taught for safety. So you have to ask yourself, why would they make death threats? If they feel that she was teaching things that was not true, why would they make death threats? Something you have to ask yourself. And it also shows us the racism and the hatred that still exists today towards melanated people and their findings of the truth. Let us go on. She says the experience taught her how much white Christian nationalism and the white Yahusha have merged. So she's saying how they have come together, okay? And which has, by having a white image of the Messiah and their beliefs about their superiority, those things have come together. So when you see them pushing that image, that's what they believe in their heart. Okay, let me go on to read in quotes. Why would it really matter to you that Yahusha wasn't white unless you need Yahusha to be white, she says. And that's a very important question that Miss Cleveland is asking. The debate over Yahusha color may seem an intrusive on the Passover story, but in some ways, it's an extension of it. One of the curious elements of the New Covenant or New Testament or the Renewed Covenant is that even Yahusha disciples can't figure out what he looks like in the Passover stories. Remember to check the video description box for the correct definition of that English word Easter in Acts chapter 12, verse 14. Now, what you see before you is a picture, and it says here the Way of the Cross procession makes its way across the Brooklyn Bridge on Good Friday, April the 14th, 2017 AD. In New York City. The Way of the Cross is a traditional Catholic procession recalling the suffering and death of Yahushua Messiah and often includes gospel readings and glory music along the way. Picture was done by Drew Anger / Getty Images provided by CNN. Now, when we look at the Passover, a lot of people just focus on this. But on the Passover day, which is a V14, our Messiah was crucified. And he gave up the breath, he gave up the spirit, and his soul went down to Sheol. And he went to Sheol, which is hell, the center of the earth, or the heart of the earth, to preach unto the captives. Remember what he's talking about, Abraham's bosom. And when you read the work of Josephus, he talks about hell. In the Greek tongue, they say Hades. Uh, Hell is the English word, but the Hebrew word is Sheol, the holding place. Okay? So then on the V15th, that is the Sabbath day, the day of rest. And then on the V16th, which is the third day, when the day when our blessed Messiah arose and resurrected. It's more to this. I'm saying they're only focused on the death, but we should know about the death and the resurrection. Okay. So on Aviv 16 is the day that he resurrected on the third day with the saints, which go along with the sheepway offering. That is the first fruits of the barley harvest. And it's also the same day when the manna ceased, representing or symbolizing that the Messiah returned back to the heavens to sit on the right hand of his Father. For he had completed the work, setting the saints free from Sheol, from hell or Hades. And the saints are the most holies, for they shall live in the Father's house that was not built by man's hand. They shall live in the new Jerusalem. Okay, so just want to give you a little bit of foundation there. Let us go on to read. One disciple mistakes him for a gardener. Two others walk beside him on a road without recognizing him, and others don't recognize him at first when they encounter him on a beach. And this is the article writing, okay? But I do recommend go back and read the gospel for yourself to check out those correct biblical events. It is difficult to imagine what Yahusha the disciple actually saw on Passover morning. The writer Frederick Buechner once tried memorably describing them as encountering, and I quote, some new and terrible version of Yahusha, disfigured by the mutilation of the cross, while standing up and moving towards them with unspeakable power. Okay. Whatever they saw and what his followers still see is ultimately a matter of faith. No matter what you believe, Yahusha is arguably still the most recognized name and most elusive figure in human history. And that is true. Okay. We may try to refashion him in our own image and within our own agendas. Underline that because people would do that. But again, what do the word of the Most High say? We got to come with truth. Can't do that. Because if you do that, if you put him in your own image and within your own agendas, you are giving lies. Don't do that. Okay, brothers and sisters. But he remains as he did on that Passover morning for his disciples, resistant to any human category we can invent, always beyond our grasp. Okay, so this article is done by John Blake, and he is a senior writer at CNN and the author of More Than I Imagined: What a Melanated Man Discovered About the White Mother He Never Knew. Okay, so this is the one who wrote this article, and it also go on to say, for more CNN news and newsletters, create an account at CNN.com. But another thing I want to point out, this article is saying Yahusha is non-white, and the Jews are non-white. Okay, it also point out to us, based on the archaeologists. Let me see, make sure I got the right thing here. And scholars, archaeological scholars, are now coming to the fact, believing, okay, or agreeing that he is most likely a brown-skinned, brown-eyed man. These are traits that goes back to the first Adam. Okay. Remember, I told you about the blue eyes. That according to science, the lighter the eye color, going from brown all the way down, okay, the less melanin one has. Okay. Even science will confirm that the original man or the first Adam had brown eyes. Okay. So again, with this information, you have to be careful how you approach people with it. Because I agree with what the majority are saying. The most important thing is preaching that the kingdom of heaven is at hand and saving souls. But this article is for some people who are like me. I like to know the truth. I like to know the facts. Okay. I do ask the whys. I do ask, like, why are albinos called ghosts? And by asking these questions, I see how it does relate a lot to the Bible, or where people are getting this from, and why people have certain negative attitudes towards albinos. Okay. It's very important that we look at things like that. Because when we come in the whole vine of the book, the Father tells us in the book of Acts, whatever he cleanses is holy and sanctified and acceptable unto him. And then two, this is where your humanity come in. This is where your Adam come in. We all come, those who have the breath, or those who have the spirit of God, which is the breath that makes us live in the soul, made from the earth and has his spirit. We are Adam. So they come from Adam. Don't go by the outer shell. You better do what the Father does. Ask the Father to help you see what he sees and hear what he hears. Ask him to give you understanding of the person's heart. Okay? Don't be misled by one's outer appearance. Okay? Remember 1 John chapter 4. Test the spirit by the spirit. 1 John chapter 3. What seed are they joined to in their belly? Either they're going to be joined to Messiah or they're going to be joined to Satan. Okay? So we have to go in the whole volume of the book, and we have to be deeper and not superficial or in our flesh, brothers and sisters. So those who are dealing with albinoism, they are our brothers and sisters. They are part of our family. Do not mistreat them. I have seen some beautiful albinos, y'all. Beautiful. Okay? And remember, don't classify them all in the same category. Ask the Father, why is this person going through this? And let the Spirit of Yah reveal these things to you. So I have said enough in this video. Again, this is nothing to argue about, because I stand by the word of the Most High, his prophets, the Hebrew. Like I said, it will confirm. And whether you disagree with me, then you disagree with me. Whether you disagree with this article, then so be it. But the truth is going to come forth. And that's why it's no point of arguing. I know what the truth is, and I know what's going to come from. And everybody have to get their own confirmation. Okay? So be careful with this information, brothers and sisters. Do not cause division or strife in the body of the Messiah, for we are his bride. Be careful. Do not let hatred come in your heart or racism come in your heart. But do not suppress the truth either, because Messiah made it clear the truth should set us free. Even though the truth may hurt, like we read Hebrews chapter 4, it's going to hurt. It's going to slice what? The bone, the marrow, the spirit and soul. But at the same time, it's going to heal and restore you. And as the bone mend, it will become stronger than it ever has before. So I have said enough in this video. Continue, my brothers, to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for we see the signs in the heaven and earth. For our blessed Messiah set the example of the water baptism and Holy Spirit baptism. And if you have no one to give you these types of baptism, the Father made it easy. For the water is the second witness in the earth. The earth is a witness, and his heavens is a witness. And they can testify on your behalf of you receiving his salvation and righteousness, which is Yahusha HaMashiach, the Messiah. Okay? And the same, and where there's water, you can baptize yourself. This is where your faith and works come in. Okay? It can be in the bathtub, pool, river, lake, ocean, etc. Wherever there's water, ye can be baptized. Okay? Remember to exercise your faith and works. And the same is with the Holy Spirit baptism. Ask in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and your Father in heaven will give it unto you according to your heart, faith, and works. Love you all, and shalom.